Hey everybody, welcome to the Hero's Journey. This is your host, Joel Sadler and Michael Harris. Michael Harris is an entrepreneur and coach who has helped hundreds of people work through tough issues in their lives and grow as people and just have massive impact on the world. Um, I've helped clients in the entrepreneurial digital marketing space, help them grow their projects, and also learning more and more to just be myself and help people grow and have authentic conversations as well. So if you're down with authentic conversations, want to grow yourself, grow your business, and just grow your family, and in general, just have a more happy life, then we invite you to subscribe and to continue listening.
Amen on the authentic conversations.
100%. I got some
Yeah,
goosebumps happening.
yeah. Man, it's
So
good to be back. Can I give a
yeah,
quick preface?
yeah.
We've for those that have followed and those that end up finding this when they do find it, we ended up starting last year recording some of these and just getting used to it. Got rough stuff out there. We just wanted to get in, get dirty, and get it live.
Mm,
And then we had a whole bunch of stuff happen to each of us where
mm,
we started prioritizing other things. Life took over. You went to Japan with the family, which, with two
yeah.
young kids is not a small feat
Mhm,
in a different country, different culture, different language.
mm,
Um, and I've had a whole lot of stuff going on as well. And this is our first time coming back
mm.
after probably a good 3 months or so, I think. 3 months?
Yeah, maybe, yeah, 2 or 3 months. Yeah,
2 or 3 months,
yeah.
and we've like right, we've been pulled back in here to make sure we keep doing this. And I'm so
Mm,
grateful just to be, even though this is going to be a short one today, I'm just grateful that we've listened and honored ourselves enough and our
mm,
calling to go, right, we've got to come back and continue this
yeah,
because our voices matter, our stories matter, and
yeah.
we really want to, as you said, have authentic conversations with people and inspire others to as
Mm.
this world changes very rapidly. So,
100%. And I think
yeah.
I think both of us, well, I know for me the last 6 weeks or so has been confronting. We recorded an episode on a certain topic, and then that just like came up for me, like just brutally came up in my face and
That's right.
confronted me and really threw me off. What I was thinking was like, how can I, talk about this stuff on a podcast and like when I'm not living it? So well, I felt I wasn't living it, or I was being confronted by talking about a subject, but then really, really struggling with it in my own life, and it just created a bit of that cycle, where that same cycle is like, I'm not good enough to talk about something or to share something when I'm struggling with it. But like that's what it's all about. I realize
100%.
now that that's what it's all about, the
And
authentic
that's
conversation,
the authenticity
Yeah.
is to own for number one, just go, fuck,
Mm.
this is what I'm dealing with. This is where I am,
Yep.
but I'm gonna face it. I'm gonna lean into it.
Yep.
And I'm gonna just go, hey, I'm struggling with this, and then to work through it, to then get the
Yeah.
learnings, the lessons, and to evolve through that particular challenge. So
100%. And
yeah,
there was so much emotion and anger and angst and like I would say for me out of a 10 scale it was probably an 8, 9, sometimes 10 in terms of confrontation and decisions I was making around some things that um yeah made it very difficult to um feel congruent to posting a YouTube video about it. But now I actually feel that that's actually probably the best thing that could have happened because
yeah,
now I
yeah,
can post it, and then I can now actually we can do a version 2 or 3 and actually talk about some of the real emotions and feelings that come up around different
yeah.
topics. So I know you've had a bit of a challenging month as well, Mike, and learned some amazing things. You want to share a little bit about
Yeah,
how you
look,
found
I've
the
I've
last
been dealing
couple of
with stuff
months?
from
Mm,
with children, separation,
mm,
aging parents.
mm,
It feels like there's just been a whole lot of stuff all kind of come at once. And um, part of what I've been really learning in the last few years is to really honor myself and not to self-abandon, not to abandon myself, make myself wrong
mm,
for what I'm feeling for a start. And this is something
mm,
as men, in particular. And not just men and women, but us guys,
mm,
let's be honest, we're kind
mm.
of told we're not supposed to have feelings or not supposed to feel or have
Yeah.
emotions or just to harden up, do this, do that. And we kind of end up then gaslighting ourselves
Mm,
and we shame ourselves for having these feelings that come up because we can't get away from them. They're there. And I've really just been leaning into it more. I've had some very confronting, sad times and
mm,
grieving, and
mm,
I've just given myself the space to grieve, and
mm,
I've been okay, and I've let it be okay that I can grieve and I can feel
mm,
the sadness, and I can feel sadness for my son who's been bouncing between two houses, and he's been finding that really rough. And so I felt the pain for him. And
mm,
I could intellectualize and know, well, we choose, I believe our souls choose this journey. We choose our challenges. We do all this.
mm.
But when you're sitting in it and you're watching, it's still tough. And so
Yeah.
I've kind of been dealing with that and
Mm,
have lots to share on that in the future about how I've navigated that and
mm,
how and what's worked for me. Um, so yeah, it's been really interesting. And what I've come to as
mm,
an overarching perspective and where I feel drawn to, where my intuition is taking me, and where I've been now learning to listen to my intuition much more. And that's something else I
mm,
don't feel that many of us get taught when we're young, is to really listen to that calling, that intuition that
mm,
guides us. Is the more I listen to that and the more I trust it, the stronger it gets
mm,
and the easier it is to understand when I acknowledge it and to
mm,
follow it.
mm,
And when I do that, things just work out the way they do. And I've come to the understanding now that as souls here experiencing this earth plane where we are, this reality that we've created, that we're a part of, it's just for our growth and evolution. And so
mm,
when you come to an understanding that everything that is coming into our existence is our manifestation, that we
mm,
have created that for our
mm.
growth and learning, we're never given anything that we can't handle.
Yeah.
And then you can go, well, hang on, if this is this big scary thing that I'm facing, this challenge or this whatever it might be at the time, if this is
Mm,
really here for me and I've done this for myself,
mm,
there's a real beautiful element of surrendering and trusting that even though it may in this form feel really confronting, it's there for us. It's a gift for us. And I've
mm,
intellectualized that for a long time, but now I really truly feel like I'm embodying it on a much deeper
mm,
level. So that's been like some of my stuff that I've really come to
mm.
understand.
Oh, yeah, it sounds yeah, I think you shared something earlier about you're sort of unlocking, you could almost say fifth dimension abilities and skills in your coaching to tune into people and to pick up on things at a whole new level.
Yeah.
But that's been birthed out of a whole lot of pain and
Yeah.
confrontation and
Yeah.
by you learning to as you say push into that pain and feel it and allow yourself just to um yeah feel that um the beauty comes out the back end of that. I've got something written down here, just a little bit of a framework we spoke about, which was when I have a rupture with myself over something which is like a bit of a spaz about something, or say I get triggered by something that my partner has said, which I've had a lot of that since I've been in Japan. I then rupture with myself and make it mean something, which is generally to do with something to do with my relationship with my mum when I'm a little child. That's what often is
Yeah.
coming up for me, right? But then I can observe and make sense of what's actually gone on and gone, like for example, as I shared with you a little thing around they came home the other day with some McDonald's and didn't bring me some, and I felt disappointed about that, and so kind of felt a little bit unloved and like unthought about. I'm like, oh, what about where's mine? But I realized that it's this little thing, but I realized it came back to when a meaning that I made around something that happened with my brother and my mum when I was little. It was the same trigger point, and so I had to go back and look at that, and then made sense of that. And at the time, I'd made meaning that my mum bought my brother an Xbox, and I never got one when I was young, and I made that mean, that I was unloved or whatever. But really, it was just the fact that my mum was trying to cope with the situation at the time with my little brother, and that was one way of doing that was to give him something to play and to enjoy. So I made sense of all that and made sense of me and sort of, you know, um, made sense of that intellectually, but I didn't really then go back and allow myself to feel that and actually finish the loop. So the importance that I'm learning is actually when the rupture happens, making sense of it intellectually, but then actually going repairing self, which is then going back to feel that feeling, to let that feeling go. It's okay to feel. It's safe to feel. The whole soap thing, it's safe to feel. It's
Hmm.
okay to feel. I acknowledge the feelings and give myself permission to feel them, and then that just dissolves it and actually then creates a bit of a clearing and a bit of a space to for that trigger to not have so much power or influence over my life the next time. And so
Yeah.
I think for me, like this Japan trip, it's been like so the culture, the food, the experiences have been amazing. What has been really confronting are just the um pieces of the puzzle that I see playing out in my wife's life by being around her dad and her brother in her home and where her mum was and all that sort of stuff, just being really confronted by that, seeing the cycles at play. But then also for myself, seeing like cycles at play when I was young, just coming up to the point as I shared to you where we're in a space where there's two rooms next to each other where my kids are sleeping in one room and they're waking up in the middle of the night and I'm getting triggered by that sort of thing and just realizing that was happening when I was little as well, with my brother and stuff and just all the interlinking um, of stuff is pretty amazing when you start to sort of pull the pieces out, and
Yeah,
understand
like
and
how many
observe what's
times
going on.
how many times, like for example, have you shared something and then we've been able to look back and
Mm,
gone, oh wow. So that's exactly kind of replicated from this particular piece here where this
yeah,
trauma was, or this pain was, or this challenge was.
yeah,
And there's so many times, and not just with you, with other
mm,
clients, with myself, we all do this. And
mm,
after a while, and this is where, you've been having these big epiphanies and these drops, is that you
mm,
start to realize, well, this is not just a fluke, or this is not just oh, wow, that's happened again, or that's weird, or that's
mm,
strange. It's like, no, this is not weird or strange.
yeah,
This is our reality.
yeah,
This is us creating our reality based on what we need to go through and be confronted with that we
mm,
haven't learnt to love yet and evolve past.
mm,
And we will
mm,
continue in one form or another, create these situations that
mm,
we wanted to create and
yeah,
we needed to create in order for us to love ourselves and grow and evolve. And
yeah,
when you kind of land on that,
yeah,
go, wow, that's like quite amazing. It's like this architecture that
mm,
we've set up, and it takes you out of that whole victim mentality to this
mm,
deep understanding of self that we're so much more than this physical being. We're a spiritual
mm,
being having a physical experience.
yeah,
And so when you get to see that, it's like, wow, this is an amazing game. This is an amazing
mm.
game that we get to experience and play. It's
Oh,
it's
100%.
liberating.
The observations that I've had, you know, we're only sort of 2 months into this trip of a 3 month trip here. The 2 months of observations and learnings that I've had about myself and my family and my wife and the family and the kids and just the cycles. Like I said, I could paint this huge painting of all of these things. It's just incredible the pieces of the puzzle, how they all fit. And to your point, how we're almost kind of robots, we're almost robots repeating the cycle that we've been taught by our parents. I am over and over and over again. And
Yeah.
often that there's a mix. There's some really good things and obviously some really I wouldn't say bad things, but just some really challenging things.
Confronting.
We're confronting things where they didn't
Yeah.
have the skills or the knowledge or power. They weren't taught how to emotionally deal with a situation that pops up, right? And so I'm inheriting like 5 or 6 generations, however many generations that behavior goes up. I've inherited that.
Yeah.
And so I don't have empowerment or training or teaching on how to deal with a certain situation. I just repeat the cycle that I saw when I was little.
Yeah.
Um, and so the observation part for me is critical because I can now see, oh my God, you know, when that happens, I've reacted that way because I learned to do that from this person. And okay, so it is what it is. It's not right or wrong. It just is what it is. So
Yeah.
if I want a different result, how do I then now go and, you know, heal anything I need to heal? But then how do I do that differently? So for example, with my daughter, I think I've shared it to you, which is just a beautiful thing. Like I didn't know how to deal with her emotion. Also just spat. Didn't know how to deal with her emotion, when she would have a spaz over anything, right? But like, so for example, she likes watching telly like any kid does, but sometimes you got to turn it off and we limit how much TV she watches. But obviously when she's tired or whatever, she'll just have a spaz about it. And so I'll just get down on my knee now and say, come here and, give me a cuddle and we'll just have a cuddle. And I just say to her, look, it's okay. It's safe to feel disappointed. It's okay to feel disappointed that we have to turn the TV off because I know how much you like watching it. Basically, it's high on their values. Kids have
Yeah,
completely different values to me.
totally.
They like toys, they like playing, they like running around, they like watching telly, they like eating sweets.
Yeah,
Anything on their values is like their eyes light up. It's incredible. Um, and I acknowledge your feelings, and it's okay. I think that's the key thing. It's okay to actually feel disappointed and sad now, beautiful
yeah,
girl, about not watching that. And she just melts into me and I give her a cuddle and then like literally within 2, 3 minutes, it's resolved. She's felt heard.
yeah,
That's the key thing. When I was little, that was one of the big things sometimes I felt was not the ability just to express that emotion because, my parents struggled to deal with that and to know what to do in that situation. And so I was in the same space. It was modeled to me. And so now I'm learning to actually it's okay just to let my kids feel and express that emotion. And then what comes out the back end of that is it kind of just feels balanced. They have an emotional flare up, they get a chance to share it and express it and feel love around it. It's okay. And then it just resolves itself. It's quite
yeah.
simple.
Yeah,
But
because the feeling is it's just it's energy that needs to come up. It's something that's there. So
yeah,
if you can try and ignore it, but it's there. The
yeah,
body stores it all, and so if what you're allowing now, which is really beautiful, is you're holding space for your daughter, allowing her to be authentic,
yeah.
allowing her to be seen, allowing for her feelings to be validated,
Mm.
and not feeling like she has to abandon herself in order to stay being
Yeah,
loved or
she's not
accepted.
wrong
Yeah,
that she's
she's not
having a
wrong. That's
spaz about
exactly
not
it.
watching telly.
Yeah.
She loves watching telly. It's like it's okay to feel upset, turning it off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I commend you for that. Like,
Mm,
you said something to me a bit earlier where you'd been hard on yourself, and this is
mm,
the same for all of us at times, right? For those that are listening, we can
mm,
be hard on ourselves at times and go, I could have done that better, and sure, we could have.
mm, mm,
But it's really important to take stock in what you have shifted and what you have changed. And,
mm, mm,
again, I look at where you are now and how you're showing up now. It was
mm,
remarkably different
mm,
than where you were and remarkably different from what your parents did for you. And so
mm, mm.
it's important to take stock in that and sit with that and have gratitude with that. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome, man. And I just on that
Uh,
with what you've done with Nyla, I've done the same with my son who was starting to learn it wasn't safe to express, wasn't safe to feel. It was made
mm,
wrong, shut down. And
mm,
I've since really just held space for him and allowed him to just sit and if he needed to cry, cry because he was
mm,
bottling up all these emotions and he didn't want to cry and
mm,
he didn't want to talk about stuff because
mm.
of how it made him feel.
Yeah.
And so what was happening was that when he was feeling this stuff, he was then associating that to being shut down or made wrong or whatever was happening for him. And so since this has kind of been uncovered, I've just when he said to me, it was a few weeks back now, he was starting to feel sad, Dad, I don't want
Mm,
to go. I'm feeling sad, Dad. I don't want to leave you, Dad. I was
mm,
like, it's okay, you're feeling sad. It makes sense that you're feeling sad. I
mm, mm,
said, do you want to talk about it? He goes, well, I think if I talk about it, I'm going to cry. And I said, okay, well, you can
mm.
cry. It's okay to cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
He goes, but Dad, and I said, come here. How about we sit inside together? And if you
Mm,
feel like you just want to cry, you can cry. And he just sat on my lap and he
mm,
just sobbed. And I just
mm,
held him and I let him
mm,
get it all
mm,
out. And I shed a
mm,
tear with him. And he looked at me and he could see that I wasn't making myself wrong or him wrong for it. And
mm,
I just hugged him
mm,
until it
mm,
moved through and he got to express it.
mm,
And after we did that, it was amazing. Like you could just see this energy release for him
mm,
that he'd been bottling this stuff up for a long time. And it was
mm,
such an honor
mm,
to be able to see him and hold space for him and
mm,
not make him wrong and just validate what he was feeling. So this
mm,
has been a big learning for me too, because I also
mm,
wasn't brought up
mm,
with that level of consciousness.
mm.
And so this has been stuff that we've, had to relearn or just not relearn, but learn how to do.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're now imparting that to our children, to me, is one of the biggest
Mm,
blessings. And that's something that I really feel called to do for
mm,
people, that we can help shift
mm,
humanity as a whole and have a much more conscious understanding of what we are and who we are and
Mm.
what we experience. So,
Ah, it's so beautiful, man. And like what stands out for me there is, I believe that our children are, my personal belief is that our children choose us as
yeah,
parents
agreed.
on their
Agreed.
soul journey. And that's why I really hold the view that it's my job to assist that soul and that beautiful person to achieve their
Yeah.
purpose in life,
Yeah.
and I think
We're
I'm really
literally
grateful
guides.
for,
We can't do it for them. We
yeah,
can't solve everything for them. And
yeah,
surrendering to that too is very accepting that they're on their path and they've chosen their lessons
yeah,
and they're going to bring about what they need to. So we can't fix and solve everything. And even just honoring that is liberating. And
yeah,
on that note, I've got another meeting now I've got to run to. So it's
yep,
been an absolute pleasure to be back on with you and start these again. And I'm looking forward to
yeah,
us continuing these. So
definitely.
thanks, Joel.
Thanks, Mike. Cheers.